You know, sometimes I come to these things and I got drinks, but I think for this one I'm gonna need a whole bottle of liquor. Greetings, Fright Nights. I'm Count Jackula.
And I'm the horror guru.
And we just saw the remake of Martyrs.
Yep. The French masterpiece, Martyrs.
The original is the French masterpiece.
Yes.
The remake is an American piece of fucking shit.
It's pretty much an abomination.
The closest this thing comes to the original Martyrs is that it resembles the crap that comes out of the ass of the crucified on Golgotha. Fucking hated every minute of this goddamn movie. It is the worst. It is the worst kind of remake. Like, you are absolutely right. Because halfway through the movie, Orguru turns to me and he's like, "Oh my god, it's like they turned Martyrs into fucking Hostel and then watered that down."
Yeah. Everything in this movie is just like for the first 20 or so minutes of the movie, it is basically a scene for scene retread of the first movie, but with every intense moment watered down a lot.
Yeah,
a lot less blood, a lot less intense violence, a lot less dread and suspense,
it's just awful. Look, this movie is impossible to discuss without spoilers. It's impossible. But just fucking spoilers. Fuck it. All right, so before we really get into this, because we're assuming most of you haven't seen the original Martyrs, we gotta do a real quick encapsulation of that.
If you have not seen the original Martyrs,
go watch see it.
Watch it. Do not watch this one.
No, don't watch the original. Like, if you're like, hey, which one's the original? Okay, one, it's gonna either be in French or dubbed over. So once you start seeing that shit, you're good.
The dub version's kind of unintentionally hilarious, so I'm going.
Go with subtitles if you can. Really, because
it's one of the most intense fucking movies ever made. So you don't want to water that down at all.
No. You want to go.
And this remake does.
Yeah, you want to go right to the source. All right. It is a French torture horror masterpiece, all about religion's obsession with the suffering of young girls.
Pretty much. Also its obsession with martyrs.
Martyrs.
Yes. That as well.
Kind of an important aspect of the movie.
Its obsession with martyrs, its obsession with the afterlife, and the afterlife being more important than the actual life, and it touches on all these things in the most intense and graphic way possible.
Yeah. It is a horrific, bloody, gory condemnation of religion.
Yes.
Completely and utterly. It does not fucking pull back.
It doesn't pull no punches. And by punches, I mean fucking stabbings, fucking gunshot wounds, fucking just straight up torture.
Yeah.
To the worst fucking degree. It makes Hostel, and I love Hostel, and I find that to be great, even in its unrated form, look like fucking kindergarten.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Hostel is kind of an easy watch for me.
Compared to Martyrs.
Yeah, Martyrs is rough.
Martyrs is fucking intense, and it's very obvious for this remake they wanted to make this a much easier, more entertaining watch, but as a result, everything that made Martyrs is now stripped out of it.
Yeah, and probably the most egregious part of that, and which is why it's no, we got to get into spoilers. The most egregious part of that is they do the thing that holds the first part of Martyrs together is the horror at watching someone continually torture themselves.
Yep.
Emotionally, physically, just out of guilt
Mm-hmm.
and horror, and it perfectly mimics and displays what happens to people who are abused by religion. It's perfect.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely
like
perfect.
the two things that really waters down is that,
yeah,
and the actual torturing of religion on a person. Like,
yes,
that part is watered down. Like I said, the first 20 minutes of this is pretty much a scene by scene watered down version of the first movie, and then after that, it starts to do its own thing.
and that's when it gets really awful.
And its own thing is essentially replacing all the brutality and intensity and dread and subtlety from the original movie with very generic American horror tropes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like the like you knew this was gonna suck, but the first thing that you're like, oh my god, you're kidding me. All right, halfway through the movie, the main character girl kills herself.
Yes.
By grabbing a piece of glass and tearing her own throat open.
Slits her
and
throat.
She bleeds to death in the arms of the girl who's probably her lover.
Yeah. They don't go into it, but it is implied.
It's really super implied.
Which is what we mean by the kind of subtlety that the original movie had. There's a lot of stuff like that is unspoken, but kind of understood by the audience.
Yeah. Like, it is very obvious in the original, Anna loves Lucy.
Yeah,
she loves her.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, she would do anything for her, including cover up a murder.
Yeah, and you don't get that vibe in this one.
No, you don't.
Like, she's just like, wow, you don't care as much.
And the thing that's so great about the original is the entire time it's happening, Anna isn't sure it's real.
Yeah.
It's like, she knows Lucy has been tortured, but Anna's not sure she's got the right family.
Yeah.
And so she's not sure whether
But
she
she's
should
still-
be, but she's still doing it because she loves her.
Whereas this one, they made her a lot more doubtful. They had her, like, trying to call the cops.
And
at
the
one
original
point.
one, she's plenty doubtful.
Yeah, I don't remember if she called the cops in the first one, but that scene felt like it was.
I'm pretty sure in the original, the cops call her because Lucy has gone missing because she's escaped so she can murder this family.
Okay. I'm gonna definitely need to rewatch the movie just to refresh, because there were parts in this movie where, because like for a good first half of this movie, it feels like so much like the other one, just really watered down. I was actually getting confused. Like, wait, did that happen in the original? I can't.
Yeah. It is hard to remember.
Yeah,
it's really hard to
because
remember.
it's what happens when you're watching a movie that is so close to the original movie that you're like.
And let's be honest. Normally, if we had been in this situation, we would have rewatched the original. But that's a really hard movie to watch.
It's a tough sit. But like, okay, so in the original version, she slits her throat and she kills herself.
Yeah.
In this one, she's there till the very end.
Yeah.
Okay?
She basically lives to the end of the movie.
On top of that, after she kills herself, the character who becomes the main character, who was originally the side character, discovers that everything her friend was hallucinating, because up to that point, it could all be a hallucination. It could all just be a result of her PTSD and her psychosis, that she is seeing things, like she may have killed a family, just like
thinking just because the voices in her head are telling her to. Yeah.
And she stumbles across a secret doorway that leads into a basement where she finds a girl who was obviously being tortured much the same way that her friend said she was by these people.
Yeah, and this is in the original.
And in the original, the girl that she finds has this metal plate grafted to her face with screws and fucking nails.
Yeah. This thing is fucking like screwed into
her
face
is
skull.
Crusty because she's dehydrated. Her skin is filled with lacerations that have been very shoddily stitched up, and her chains are grafted to her fucking hands so tightly, and have obviously been there for so long that her skin has started to form around them.
Yeah.
So peeling them off is painful. Like, and that's just the tip of the iceberg of what this girl looks like. She has fucking been brutalized and just fucking, like, left to die a horrible, awful death in this fucking getup.
Yeah.
In the most painful way possible.
Yeah, because she's supposed to resemble like an Iron Maiden.
Yes, absolutely. And she also like resembles a little bit the kind of demon that Lucy was hallucinating earlier in the movie, which in the original movie she's like that but a lot more bloody all over.
Because in the beginning you think you're like this. Okay, you're not sure if the monster is real, and until that door opens, you're really uncertain what's going on because you're like, is Lucy actually being attacked by some sort of monster?
Yeah,
Whereas in the remake, you're like, no, obviously not.
Yes.
It's so obviously not an actual monster.
I mean, she almost looks like someone who just went through like Hellraiser torture.
Yes. Yeah.
And the demon that she's hallucinating in her head, which is obviously supposed to be her who have gone through that. Like her past self who went through that.
Yeah. And it's got this awful connotation of this isn't just her torturing herself because of religion. She's torturing herself because she escaped.
Forgive me. It's not my fault.
Because she escaped, and there's still women down there that she couldn't help.
Absolutely.
And you're just like, oh my god. And you see that character with the fucking thing on her face, and you get it, and you're like, oh my god.
So here's to give you an example of how the remake watered these ideas down. Okay, first off, the demon that she hallucinates in the remake is way more of a fucking generic looking, almost like The Ring style long hair ghosty girl.
Yeah, and when you first see it, it does the Bagul.
Well, yeah, they do that weird like Bagul face.
You're like, oh, come on.
Yeah, boo scare.
Boo scare. Fuck that. It's Martyrs.
And the girl that they find down there looks just like maybe she just had a bad day. Like she's just like a girl in like a dress, and she's got like a couple like tiny little like nicks here and there, but like she's not wearing a metal plate.
Well, she's also like a little like elementary school girl, which I'm sure they thought would be more horrifying, but is way less horrifying because when you film with children, there are certain things you can't do. Like, make them look really horrific. You have to get...
You could if you had balls.
Yeah, you could if you had balls and you weren't filming in America.
Yeah.
So,
the chains are normal. They get them off. Like, she looks, like, ultimately fine. Oh, can't let the little girl look ugly. Yeah. So, like... That right there is kind of like the microcosm of how watered down this remake is.
Yeah.
Is those two differences.
Yeah.
But it gets worse than that.
Yeah.
Because in the original movie, the entire last the last 45 minutes of the movie is the main character being caught by these people, put into that basement and tortured the way her friend was. And so essentially experiencing what her friend had experienced, except this time there's no escape.
Yeah.
And this movie replaces that with the three girls being alive, her friend being tortured off screen, and her doing the final girl thing of escaping and killing the bad guys and
Yeah, you can't have a final girl in Martyrs. It defeats the point.
And letting the little girl go free.
Yeah. She lives. You're like, what?
Yeah.
God. Like, you want to know how pussy the torture sequence is? When they capture Anna in the original, she is down there for like months. She's down there for months, and they fucking brutalize her. They beat her in the face. They fucking shave her hair off. They fucking flay off all of her skin.
And it's hard to watch.
It's super awful.
You were sitting there watching the movie, and you're like, "Holy shit! Like, I don't know if I can make it through the rest of this."
God, like I said, like that was, of course, like when in the original watching that when you had me watch it, I was like, I gotta stop. I have to stop right here
because it's intense.
Because it triggered that thing where I am like, all I can do right now is see someone doing this to my little sister. Because it's not real and I'm an audience member, I'm helpless and I can't do anything about it. Yeah. But I just want this poor girl to stop suffering.
And they avoid that.
Yeah,
in this
they completely
movie.
avoided that.
They
completely skipped it.
They didn't want to make a movie that was horrifying or intense or hard to watch. They decided to make a movie that was more conventional and generic, where instead of seeing, it goes out of its way to make every single horrific sequence less about the horrific thing that's happening. Like, okay, so her friend's getting tortured, and obviously they're like drilling into her arm like something out of Hostel, and instead of showing that, they're showing her friend hearing it happen in the other room.
Yeah.
You know, instead of like being beat to shit like the girl is in the first movie, the original movie, she gets electroshock torture because electroshock torture can be showed without dirtying up anybody.
Yeah, like if you want to know how watered down this thing is, this movie is an R. And if you're a horror fan, you're gonna watch this. You're gonna be, this is an R.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah. It didn't feel like an R.
No, it felt like a hard PG-13
or very
best.
Weak R.
Yeah, very weak R at best. Fucking when they fucking capture Anna in this one, she still has her fucking shoes on.
Yeah.
They didn't even take her shoes off.
They go out of their way in the original movie to make her as uncomfortable as possible because the idea of the Martyrs is they're trying to get someone to reach that state of the martyr where they are so tortured and brutalized, kind of like Jesus, that they essentially see the other side.
Yeah, they see the afterlife, they see heaven.
And they want to know what's on the other side, so they want to bring her to that brink of death so that she could see the other side, so that she can tell them before they die what's on the other side.
Yeah.
Before she dies.
Yeah, and this organization has been doing this for decades, if not centuries.
And trying to find it. Which, by the way, makes a moment in this movie fucking stupid. Because the entire idea is that they reach this point where where their eyes are a certain way, where they're looking up into the heavens and they see the other side. And one of the ways they try to get this out of someone is by burning them alive, which, if you know, burning someone alive, your eyeballs are gonna fucking melt, and you're not gonna be able to reach that state that they're wanting.
Yeah. Plus the fact that apparently they set someone on fire, but their clothes don't burn.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it was a really terrible CGI
it's
effect
super
too.
bad. Like,
really
why
terrible.
even bother doing that?
And I get it. You're trying to do the witch imagery, but it doesn't work.
No, they're trying to do that fucking Joan of Arc thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because Joan of Arc is a martyr and she was burned alive, so we'll use fire.
Yeah.
Fucking fuck you. It
It's
was
just
so bad.
It's just, oh god, and that scene,
Because,
how watered down it is. Her clothes are completely fine. She doesn't look
Yeah.
burned or charred.
And the funny thing is, you could have done that. You could have burned someone alive and had it work. Like, it's one of the few things that worked in the Silent Hill movie.
Yeah.
Was fucking Sybil being burned alive. That effect was awesome.
Yeah. If you at least made me feel it, I wouldn't have been thinking so hard about it.
Yeah.
But the problem is things keep happening in this movie, and I don't feel it because it's avoiding doing the thing that.
Oh
would
my
make you
god,
feel
this
it.
movie fucking has no tension because it just keeps speeding through the plot points as quickly as possible to make sure you're not too upset. And you're like, really? We're gonna have a scene where someone hides in a closet and then immediately go to the shot where the door handle moves? Really?
Yeah. Without the tension of, oh, someone's coming near.
Yeah.
Like,
just
no tension. Just
none.
the door handle moves. Oh, wait, hold on. What the?
Yeah. Well,
I feel like a segment was cut out here.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
God, we got to that point in the movie where, like, we're at the point where in the original the movie would have been over. We still have a half hour to go.
Yeah.
You gotta be kidding me. What kind of bullshit you gonna fucking pull out of your ass here? And one of them was the sequence where they're like, oh, they escape the house and run into the vineyard because there's a vineyard near the house. Whatever, go with it.
Yeah.
And you're like, really? We're gonna do a hunting sequence?
Yeah. It's a sequence in every horror movie where the slasher killer is chasing someone down. They go and hide behind a bush or in a closet or what the fuck ever, and the monster just stomps in, looks around, and then walks off, and they're like, oh, whew, it's okay, and then something happens from behind.
Yeah.
It's that generic scene.
By the numbers.
Added to this movie where it didn't belong because there scenes like that aren't in the original movie because it's not that kind of movie. Oh god. Jesus Christ. I hate this movie. Like,
yeah,
I don't want to hate it, but I do.
Well, we knew going in that it was going to suck, but didn't quite understand the depths of it because there were a lot of reviews that were like, oh, it's not that bad. Yes, it is! It's really awful!
Oh, if you wrote a review saying it was not that bad...
Oh, fuck you!
I do not forgive you for that, because I walked into this movie with a lot more hope than I should have because of that.
Oh my god, no, it's a complete piece of shit. Not only is it fail as a remake, it fails as a movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's just awful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, good gravy. Like, good fucking gravy. I almost forgive that I Spit on Your Grave remake.
That was actually
That's at least a movie.
That was like the kind of remake I was thinking of when I was watching this.
Yeah, exactly.
How did you manage at points to stick so close to the original movie and still get it so wrong?
Yeah.
You know, and
God, like fucking by the way, there's a scene in this fucking remake where a woman says, "Martyrs don't die." And I'm like, actually, bitch, dying is the defining trait of a martyr. Mm-hmm. It actually, you have to die to have been martyred. God! Mm-hmm. Now, to be honest, the original isn't necessarily about killing them. It is about bringing them to the brink of death. But they don't bother to, like, pull them back. They're just like, all right, just be there long enough so that we can hear what you fucking say, that we don't care if you die or not, which in itself is a commentary on the phenomena of martyrdom. Mm-hmm. But this one is like, oh no, they just endure. No, they don't. They fucking die. That's what a martyr is. Yeah. A martyr is a fucking bloody corpse you wave around to talk about how fucking righteous you are. That's what a martyr is. God. Fuck it, that fucking... God damn it. My face... God damn it. Look at how red my fucking face is. I'm so pissed.
Because it's yeah.
I'm so fucking pissed.
I do not blame you. It's a fucking
look at this movie's doing to me.
It's a fucking shitty ass remake.
Oh,
that I foolishly walked in with a little more hope after reading some reviews about it. And
fucking liars, man. They fucking lied to us.
Well, I feel like it's a bunch of critics saying, oh, well, everyone's normally anti-remake. Well, we don't want to be anti-remake, so we're going to be anti-conformist by being pro-remake.
Yeah,
and I'm like, look,
I know.
I am fine with a good remake, but if a remake's shit, be honest and tell us it's shit.
Well, if you're going to... Look, I don't know if any critic specifically did this, but if you were a critic that shit on that Evil Dead remake but thought Martyrs was in any way acceptable.
Evil Dead was awesome.
No, the Evil Dead remake's amazing. I love that movie.
That managed to pay tribute to the original movie very fucking well while also doing its own thing.
Yeah. Well, it knew what to keep.
Yeah.
It absolutely knew what to keep.
And nothing it did, felt like undermined what the movie was about.
Oh, no, not at all. Well, it's because, what they did with that one, not to get too far off track, but what they did with that Evil Dead one is they told a completely different story using the cabin, the Deadites, and the Necronomicon, while still keeping the scenes that you knew had to be there. Mm-hmm. Like, tree rape had to be there. The cellar had to be there. Tons of blood. Mm-hmm. They're all there. Just recombined and done differently.
Yeah.
It's actually really awesome.
Oh, absolutely. And I didn't feel like... And it wasn't like this movie where when it would do something different from the original movie, I felt betrayed.
Yeah.
I never felt that in the Evil Dead remake. And on top of that, the Evil Dead remake didn't stick so fucking close to the original movie that when it did deviate, it felt like it didn't fit anymore.
Yeah, correct. Correct. Where this one absolutely does.
Yeah. It's like, oh man, we're sticking so close. Okay, now we're going to shift here. And I'm like, yeah, the problem is you set up the original movie here.
Yeah.
And now you're doing something completely different.
And you don't know why you fucking did it. Now, in Martyrs, the eyes are very important. But what Pascal Laguerre did in order to hammer home the concept of the eyes and how important they is by having a lot of shots where people see shit.
Yeah.
Or their eyes are covered and so they can't see shit. That's how he hammers that idea home. In the remake, they just tell you.
Yeah.
They just keep saying the eyes, and you're like, if you've seen the original, you're like, oh my God, you're doing that fucking thing where you're fucking over-explaining the metaphor.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Also, this movie keeps cutting away from things before they get too intense.
Yeah. You're gonna do a movie about witnessing and not force the audience to look at something it doesn't want to.
Which is what the original does.
Yeah.
Fucking well.
Yeah. Which is why it does it.
Part of the reason in the original movie why the other two characters have to die and the main character be the only thing that survives, or not really survives, but like lasts throughout the movie, is because there's nothing else to cut to at that point.
Yeah.
You are stuck in that basement with her, chained with her, watching her go through all this up until her death.
Yeah. There's nothing.
And in this one, because they had all these other characters and they have one get out and one in another cell, like you're cutting between these things so you don't have to show her getting tortured the entire movie, which means you're not seeing it, which means you're not feeling it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's definitely a movie where the torture is not cathartic.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God. No, it is intended to be torturous.
Yeah. The original movie is supposed to be torturous. And in this movie, it just... okay, in the original movie, another example being watered down. Original movie, the final thing they do to her is they completely flay all the skin off her body, peel it off one by one,
with the exception of her face.
Just this little sliver of her face right here. Everything else, her head, her neck, her body,
they have
everything,
cut away
her extremities.
Yeah, they've cut away so much of her flesh. You're seeing everything, and the most horrifying part is when you realize, oh my God, she is no longer even identifiably female. They've cut away so much.
Yeah. She's just, you know what she kind of looks like? She kind of looks like one of those giants from Attack on Titan.
Oh yeah.
Not the human ones, but the big ones with like the face that looks like just like muscle. That's what she looks like at the end of this movie. It was in the original movie.
In the original,
And this one, they peel a little bit of skin off her back, which would hurt and be painful, but they cut away before they actually like do like the real damage. And then when they cut to her, they only show her from the front, so she looks like she's perfectly fine.
Yeah, and she's not. It's not. And she's not even naked. She's got a fucking smock on.
And that's the other thing. Like, this movie was afraid of making any of the characters naked and vulnerable.
Yes. And the funny thing is that the original Martyrs didn't have a lot of nudity in it at all. But the thing it did have, for probably a really good example, in the original Martyrs, Anna, the girl who starts out the Lucy's friend and becomes the main character in the second half, she's dressed very tomboyish. She's essentially wearing a wife beater, just like I am right now. And, by the end of the movie, like they don't take her clothes off, but by the time they get to the point where you would just strip that away, they take her skin away.
Yeah.
So it's like, and a lot of the other tortured women are naked. There are horrific scenes of women shitting themselves and pissing themselves because you're supposed to. It's like, no. We really thought about what it would.
Yeah.
The fucking inhumanity, which is fucking visited upon these women, is horrific and complete.
Which is what makes it a fucking horror movie, by the way.
Yeah. Now
it's horrifying. Duh. That's what the word means.
Yeah. But in the fucking remake, they're like, no, let's not do any of that. And I'm like, look, I knew that when you remade this, you weren't going to do all of it. But did you have to do none of it?
Yeah.
Did you have to do none of it? They don't even shave her head.
No, they don't.
And that scene is, oh God, in the original, the scene where they cut her hair off. Fucking, oh my God. Like, it so gets across that whole, like, no, your hair is part of your identity, and that's why they're cutting it away.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh man, no, Jesus, Pascal Laugier, holy fucking crap, did you get to the heart of this?
It's what makes it a fucking masterpiece.
Yeah.
And a grueling sit. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not easy to watch the original Martyrs.
There are a couple
but if you make a movie that's called Martyrs, it's supposed to be a remake of Martyrs, and you make it easy to watch, you failed.
Yeah. Yeah, you have. A lot of people said, well, this is a movie that never should have been remade. And I'm like, yes! It never should have been remade. You shouldn't have remade this fucking movie at all.
Not if you weren't willing to go the whole 9 yards.
I don't even know how you would have been. Actually, there was one moment where I was like, look, if you want to do the thing where you're like, all right, maybe we need to inject a little bit of hope in this and change this movie a little bit. I actually would have been perfectly okay if by the end Anna had actually grown feathery wings and had become an angel that fucking murdered everybody.
That would have been at least something.
That would have been something. I would have been like, well, you went in a different direction there, American Martyrs, but bravo.
Yeah.
Bravo. Like,
that would have been something.
Yeah, that would have been something because, like, there is the saddest, how to put it, like, the original Martyrs even gets to the heart of the fact that revenge is not as satisfying as you wish it were.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Absolutely.
But if it didn't even at least try to do that, it couldn't get its point across.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't talk up the original Martyrs enough. It's just so amazing.
Also, everything, the original Martyrs, a whole lot is done like non-verbally, and there's a whole lot of stuff. There's like one exposition scene halfway into the movie when the movie shifts from a revenge story to the final martyrdom, and that's about all you get. Everything else is shown or implied. This movie does a lot of explainies.
Yeah,
a lot of it.
Yeah.
It is not subtle about it, and its unsubtlety actually is kind of insulting, given how much
super insulting.
Given how much came across without all that shit in the original movie. Watching this movie, I felt like I was being talked down to.
Yeah, like in the remake, like okay, so in the original, there's a lot of interaction, between Lucy and the monster in her head in the original one. And the most heartbreaking moment for me is when the creature is like tearing into her and she's just like, I did it. Why are you? And you're just like, oh my God. Like this poor girl. Like, oh my, I'm like, holy shit, no, been there. I know exactly what that is. In this one, they actually just tell you, and I'm like, oh, fuck you.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck you.
They spell it out in words.
Completely spelled it out in words.
And I'm just like, fucking show, don't tell, you fucking ingrates. Like,
yeah. Oh my God. Like,
I would
Clive
normally
Barker
not be
wanted Pascal Laguerre to do Hellraiser for a reason.
Oh man,
and he left the project for probably the reason that fucking the remake is the way it is. Good fucking God.
Oh man. This was... I normally don't get this mad at really shitty movies, but this one was personal. Like,
yeah, absolutely. This was a personal affront for me too.
The original Martyrs is one of the greatest horror movies of all time, much less the last 15 years.
Oh my God, yeah.
And to see it get remade so quickly, so shittily, and so terribly Americanized to the point that it barely resembles the intensity of the original
one.
How
dare you?
And the worst thing is, some of the other movies that people lump under like the torture label with Martyrs, like Hostel, are more intense than this remake.
Oh God, yeah. Like, yeah, and Hostel is ghoulishly humorous.
Yes, yeah.
Like, there's a lot. The torture in Hostel is supposed to be like, we're being naughty. We're doing something we shouldn't do. But Martyrs is not like that at all.
But even that is more intense than this remake. I would have preferred that over this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just...
Like, if we were just gonna go like, we're fucking doing bad shit, we shouldn't, I'd have been like, well, alright, that's fucked up, but I'm proud of you.
Or if you at least came up with something that made it a different kind of movie, but still a satisfying movie.
Yes.
And somehow incorporated the Martyrs idea, like the way The Fly does. You know?
Yeah, but I really don't know how you could improve on that original.
I don't know. You'd have to be someone with a vision.
Yeah.
feel like there was actually any real vision for this other than
I
make it
feel
more
like
mainstream.
the only direction to go is straight up Hellraiser.
Well, yeah, that would have been cool.
You know, well, actually, yeah, I would have been okay with that.
That would have been fine.
I would have been totally okay with that. You know, like if you wanted. Oh, actually, God, thinking about it, if it was one of those like, all right, I want you to do the Martyrs movie, and I got creative control, it would have been like, all right, I am gonna do. All right, the first half of the movie is going to be basically the story of the original Martyrs. Obviously, we're going to have to do it a little differently. And the second half is basically the Hellraiser-inspired revenge part of that movie.
Nice.
So at least there would be something for the fucking audience to latch onto. And I'm going to tell you, if you're like, well, I didn't think that movie was that bad. Holy shit, you ain't seen nothing. You seen nothing. You probably haven't even watched fucking Phantasm. I love that movie, by the way. Jesus fucking Christ.
I don't know what else
I don't even want to say Jesus Christ. Jesus fucking Franco. That is some bullshit we just watched. This is complete fucking bullshit. God damn it. I didn't like it.